Very good morning. What are you going to have for breakfast? Well, I suggest we have a globe pancake. And all we're going to need is some eggs. My friends, an inescapable fact about any balls, or globes, or spheres, or obleted spheroids is that they all have to adhere to this simple fact, or we would have many problems with shapes. They all must curve downward and away from any point on them, no matter how subtle. They have to curve somewhere downward and away. The study of angles and distances of figures on a ball, globe or sphere is known as spherical trigonometry and is used, apparently, all over the plane. So let's try and keep this in mind as we put it to the test in this upload of the RFEFP series. Hi there, welcome to you and part 12, our pancaked Earth. Now let me bring your immediate attention, friends, to a first and only unknown actual flat Earth geographic science experiment that was performed and collaborated in the Sunflower State, also called Kansas, in the United States of America. It was back in 2003. Now the results of this actual scientific study was not as much groundbreaking as it was ground battering or globe battering. Now the university geography professors, PhDs, Mark Fonstad, William Pergata and Brandon Voigt used topographical geodetic surveys covering over 80,000 square miles. So by using what was called a confocal laser microscope, had worked out mathematically polynomial equations to scientifically calculate the actual flatness of this state. So they discovered that as compared to the topography of a pancake, it was indeed flatter. A flatness value of 1.000 would indicate perfect platonic flatness. The pancake was scored at 0.957, which the professor said is pretty flat, but far from perfectly flat. The value for Kansas, meanwhile, was 0.9997, or damn flat, as they said. Kansas is about 400 miles long, about half the entire UK, and 210 miles wide. And my friends, absolutely flat. 80,000 square miles they covered. Kansas is flat as far as the eye can see. So let's think about the fallacious spherical trigonometry and the faint mathematics that it entails. Earth is supposed to curve at a very easy measurable 8 inches per mile multiplied by the square of the distance, 8 inches per mile squared. So on a 6-mile stretch of level land, the Earth must dip 6 feet on either end from its central peak. So where is it? Now, one of the first proofs of a so-called globe Earth is the supposed ships disappearing over this curved elevation drop using spherical trigonometry. Now this, my friends, poses a very real problem for real mathematics, because there is no such thing as a curve to this Earth, my friends. So therefore, if there is no curve, then this is definitely not a sphered Earth. Now this very important geographic science experiment has never been and can never be challenged, or most importantly, can never be disproven in any way whatsoever. Please try if you can. But this is not the whole story, my fellow followers of the plain truth. It gets even better, because scientifically, nearly 600,000 square miles of the United States of America is actually flat, showing absolutely zero curvature or so-called elevation drop. Now, when this very important science study came out, Lee Allison, then the director of the Kansas Geological Survey, actually quoted, "Everything on Earth is flatter than the pancake as they measured it. Everything on Earth as measured is flat." Please try and remember this statement, my friends. Clarifying Allison's report in a paper from earlier that year, geographer professors Jerome Dobson and Joshua Campbell explain it again. The pancake measured in the article was 130 millimeters and its surface relief was 2 millimeters. So applying the ratio to the east-west dimension of Kansas, approximately 644 kilometers, and the state would need a mountain 9,908 meters tall in order not to it be flatter than a pancake. Now thus, since the highest mountain in the world is obviously Everest, standing at 8,848 meters tall, every single state, my friends, in the USA is actually flatter than the pancake. Admittedly, very clearly, that the Earth is indeed flat. Now, which state is the flattest? Now, Dobson and Campbell's research has more good news for Kansas, because their study for the flatness of the US states, the pair developed a measure of human scale perception of flatness by actually creating an algorithm that approximated what a person of average height would see if they were standing in a given spot and turning around in a circle. We know a circle is not a globe. Taking in 16 different views in a revolution, they took elevation data, used polynomial equations, similar technology to what was used previously, and therefore thus divided the continuous United States into 90-meter cells and ran the algorithm to get the flatness for each cell. Each state was then measured in terms of percentage of land, and that was not flat, flat, flatter, and flattest, and then it was ranked. By any measure, Florida takes the prize for the flattest state in the nation because of the highest point in the state, my friends, and this is only 345 feet above sea level, 0% curvature. Then Illinois, North Dakota, Louisiana, Minnesota, and Delaware follow. Kansas, my friends, is merely 7th in the flatness scale. So to reiterate, if Kansas was scientifically flatter than a pancake, and Florida is 6 times flatter on the scale than that, then what more does a person have to do to show you, to convince you, to give you concrete scientific mathematical proof that the Earth is flat? This is it, my friends. Part 12. So why did they do this work back in the early 2000s? One may be asking. Why did they focus on the flatness in the actual first place? What would be the point? Well, Dobson was a very different professor. He quotes, "People measure mountains and hills all the time. And I'm not sure anybody has purposely measured flat before. There's also the fact that perceptions matter, not just culturally, but also economically. For those who think this frivolous survey of science study is important because it really does affect people's perceptions. And thus it would take a mountain higher than Mount Everest in order for Kansas not to be flatter than a pancake. What do you think the message is here, friends? Kansas is flat. Florida is flattest. The USA is flat. The UK is flat. The world as you see it, my friends, is measured scientifically as flat. And thus, lastly, it is the very reason why the Pancake Earth Geographic Science Experiment of 2003 and 4 is and will always be a real flat Earth fact on the plane. So I thank you for tuning in, and I hope this one throws out a curveball to all of the Copernicans. We are really friends, but flat power to the plane. And I wish you good luck and take care of this plain Earth. I'll see you in part 13. You take care. Woo.